and I will never marry him. For Wesley. He's the hand me some of that handsome boy, disturbed by the aging mannishness of his facial hair. This is a story about a friendship. That's a sexy knife.
Thank you.
God, I think I saw somebody make
I got
one.
it from Bed Bath & Beyond.
Oh. I was thinking
straight for the Beyond section.
You do know that we're a typical lesbian and gay male right now, because I was thinking about the time I saw somebody make one like that on Forged in Fire. Now, what you need to know is that this isn't your average friendship. Not to say that any friendship is average. Everyone has its ins and its outs, but this is an interview about a friendship between a boy and a girl.
Like the key thing, you know. I guess I should explain that. You know,
Sure.
where you like get me like the little hooks that I put my keys on, and you just replace them.
Well, I don't want you to lose your keys.
No, literally, like I just thought because you would replace them with one that was the exact same color. So I just thought that one lasted really long. And then I saw you replace it with one that was a different color. And I was just like, this motherfucker has been replacing this shit for 10 years.
Basically, yes.
Because I would be like, oh, well, you know, this is... And I just never noticed it. And then one day you replaced it in front of me. And I was just like, oh, that's how that has lasted so long. All right, well, yeah, that makes sense.
Now, because we've been friends for a really long time, we find ourselves having the most random of conversations. Random but insightful. We'll find ourselves having conversations about things like...
That goes back to us talking about like toxic masculinity and sort of the way in which society sort of discourages men from being able to sort of like access and express their feelings. So I feel like sometimes, a lot of times, this is not me likening like men having some sort of interaction with the moon to a woman's like reproductive cycle, because that's not what this is at all. I just think that there are some similarities in terms of mood.
This is the kind of friendship where when Wesley moved here, and I think at this point it was about 10 years ago, he took a lease out on his apartment without letting me know exactly where the apartment was. So he calls me up and he's like, hey, I found this really great place. And I'm like, cool, what's the address? And it's around the corner from the place that I had been living for 5 years already. So we've been living in the same neighborhood with each other for an additional 10 years now. And it's been really amazing. This is the 4 a.m. Club. Conversations with women and the people who love them about the hidden worlds of women's health. I am Ariane Benford. I'm your host. I've been dealing with chronic women's health issues for over 3 decades now, including endometriosis, fibroids, and a number of things that I'd rather not list. Come with me as I try and find out exactly why we don't talk about women's health the way that we need to, and why it's become sort of a taboo subject. For this interview, I found Wesley at his house, doing what he would normally be doing on a Saturday, fussing while cleaning.
You got me walking around fussing at people. Who does that? Where do they do that at?
Making an elegant meal of chef's quality.
So I got some lemon, some avocado, some mushrooms, can of tuna, fancy tuna, and some tomatoes in a variety of colors.
Solid tuna in water. Yo, that tuna looked like it lived before they put it in the can and shit.
I'm expecting Toucan Sam. No, that's not Toucan Sam. Who's the tuna? What's the tuna's name?
And schooling me on about 50 different things that I thought I knew, but apparently didn't. I'm thirsty. Do we have anything to drink?
No.
Oh.
No, don't have any ice. Oh, I take that back. I do have something to drink. that back. I do have a little bit of to wet your whistle.
Prosecco. Yes. In the event of thirst, Prosecco. Yes.
Is that okay? I mean, it's not water.
Prosecco is the water of the gay black gods. What are you talking about? You ready for the rapid fire?
Let's do it.
What's your name?
Bob Ross. No, I'm just kidding. Wesley Hall.
How do we know each other?
I really wanted to be friends with you when you were 18, a freshman in a poetry class, and you wanted nothing to do with me. And so I kept pestering you until we were really great friends because I was a big puppy. Mm-hmm.
And for how long have we known each other?
Since 1999.
It being 2018, 19. Damn, yo, we were friends for 19 years.
That's right.
Jesus Christ, I already actually asked you that.
Can we not say how many years it's been?
One of the things that I deal with monthly is endometriosis. And I have the kind of endometriosis that's trapped in your stomach walls. So when it starts to act up, my center cavity can become really rigid and I end up looking like a drunk person walking down the street. So I try not to do that so much by myself, and I'll ask Wes to escort me places or to go pick something up for me or to help me out in any number of ways so that I don't have to look like a mark. Describe day one.
Day one of what?
My period.
Oh, it's usually a rapid onset. It doesn't usually strike at any sort of predictable time of day. It'll just be... imagine if you're like hanging out on a really nice sunny day and then all of a sudden it's like dark clouds starts to like rumble off from the distance and it like rapidly, it's like moving fast and suddenly it approaches and it encroaches upon the entire day and it like shuts it the fuck down and you're like, oh, Sonia's in town. All right, cool. Let's get a cab.
So now she's a hurricane.
Less of a hurricane and more of a very undeniable happening.
So define endometriosis.
Oh, I didn't realize it was like a test. Okay.
It's not.
So my understanding of it is that there's certain tissue that the uterus sort of produces that lines it, and endometriosis is when that tissue starts to sort of develop outside of the uterus, where it's not really supposed to be developing. So that's my understanding of it. Feel free to correct me if I am wrong.
No, you're doing pretty good. It's basically where it just like backs up the fallopian tubes. As far as they understand it right now, is that it backs up the fallopian tubes and then proliferates throughout the abdominal cavity all the way up to including the heart, the lungs, all the way up to the clavicle. It could in some people. They're cells, so they can go wherever. And then when you have your period, they react as if they too are having their period because they're comprised of the same material, basically.
So it's an all-over period.
Yes.
Oh, that's not good.
No. It's a little radioactive.
Right. Hence Red Sonja.
Yeah, the best thing I can liken it to is like being a werewolf.
Yes, there's definitely some werewolf components to some of the experiences that I've had. I realized that it looked like I was making a giant bowl of salad for everybody, but I was...
This is just for you. I'm just making sure I get a bite.
Here. I'll let you eat out of one of the other bowls.
Thank you, gracious sir.
Sorry, I don't know what happened to my mayonnaise. I was just like, no, make the salad for me. Who is is gonna be good. Look at it.
Okay, good. That's fine. That's fine. I
Okay.
just when you live that close with your really good friend, it's not that hard for them to pop by and come in, come out, and you get to see each other a lot. So he knows the layout of my house, and I know the layout of his.
So, I guess a pivotal memory. Well, let's just dive right in. So, one time I had to come to your house, and under normal circumstances, you might ask me like a day or so afterwards, after it started, to like, like sometimes I would call and check in and see if you were okay, if you needed anything or whatever. So, like, you'd be like, oh, I need you to pick up like pain pills, or I need alcohol, or I'm hungry, or whatever. But you would like give a little bit of a brief description of like, it's a little intense, or it's mild or medium, or it would be really bad. And this particular time, I don't remember why, but
I had broken up with the ex.
Right, it had left, and so
and the new person was out of town because her grandmother had died.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. And so I came to your house, and you were in the tub, and sort of seizuring. It looked as though you were seizuring, and so I obviously didn't know what to do, because it seemed like the kind of situation where someone would have needed to have had some sort of emergency medical training. But I don't have any of that. So I was like, I don't know what to do. And you had to kind of tell me what to do. And at some point it was like, I had picked up the pills, but then they need to be liquid gel pills, because they need to be able to get into your system faster, and you needed a pill and help to get out of the tub and into your room. It was just there was a series of different things that needed to happen in order to just, I don't know, sort of keep it at bay,
Mm-hmm.
And
sort of beat it back. It's like beating it back with a broom.
It felt very much like you said, it's kind of like a werewolfy type thing. All right, so let's give you this and chain you to the bed, and literally. Oh, maybe you'll sleep through it. You know what I mean?
Hopefully you'll sleep through it. Hopefully you'll sleep through it.
And so that was stuff. But I think, and you might not know this, but I don't know if you went to sleep or if you passed out. I'm not really sure. I'm assuming you passed out. 50-50.
Comme ci, comme ça.
So I was like, all right, that's obviously I'm not going to leave. So I was sitting there, and I was kind of having a cigarette out the window, because I still smoked at the time. And I was thinking, oh, yeah, well, I've known you for a really long time, and I didn't know that it was like that. You know what I mean? And while I had known people who had said they had endometriosis, they never really got into the nitty gritty of it, and that was a really significant experience. And I made a mental note that I was like, oh, we should probably talk about that, because it occurred to me, knowing you, that if that's where it was, that it probably started at a specific point, which was way above and beyond what would be considered a standard situation, and that you wouldn't know how far away from standard that was.
I had absolutely no idea. You remember when I woke up in the hospital laughing, after surgery? We can get to that. We'll get to that conversation, but yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, so, hey, now that you're back in human form, we should just talk about that other day. And you were like, what about it? And I was just like, yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah. And
I think you thought I was saying that was asking a lot. And I was like, no, that in and of that extremity of when a person is in that kind of pain, that's usually a trip to the hospital.
Okay, so that leads, my next question is, why do you call it Red Sonja?
Oh, because Red Sonja is this she's this red-headed Russian warrior woman in a comic book, and she like shows up and bathes everything in blood.
When did you first know that something was up?
I knew when we were in Chicago, and at the time you had a girlfriend, and she was leaving out of town, and she asked me to check in on you, just to keep track of you. And I was just like, that's an odd request for her to make. But I guess you needed that. Like, you needed somebody to, like, be available.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Or I forgot.
You probably didn't know. Okay.
When did I actually tell you that something was up?
I want to say you told me when I moved here like 8 years ago. But like you didn't say it in a direct way. It was like sort of roundabout. It was like, oh, well, you know, they're kind of bad. Like my period's bad. But you didn't even say it like that. You were just kind of like, oh, well, you know, I'm going to be down or out for the weekend because my period's coming. But I had enough experience with other people that I kind of sort of knew that meant something.
Yo, that's how I feel. I be trying to escape her sometimes, but like she just won't be escaped.
I mean, you really can't outrun her.
I try.
No, I think she's got like you GPS'd or something.
I think it's like I don't know.
Definitely a chip in there somewhere.
I don't know what the hell. All right, now here's a question. What is your pain cocktail? So when you're dealing with pain or like helping other people deal with pain, and these might be two different things, so you might have to say, what do you tell people to take?
Oh, my pain cocktail. The people in my family have an abnormally high pain threshold. So,
is that why you were able to identify mine?
Yes.
Okay.
So, like, my sister was having Braxton Hicks contractions at work, and she said, "Excuse me for a second," and just laid down on the floor, and then got back up in like 4 minutes. And I was like, "Wait, what were you saying?"
I said pain cocktail.
No, I know. I'm just saying that's what my sister did. She like laid down, got back up, and was like, "I'm sorry, what were you saying?" And they were like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" And she was just like, "Oh, it's just like a little, you know, boop." Like I had a root canal and didn't have painkillers because I didn't want them to inject me with needles. And I was just like, this isn't that bad. It's totally fine. This nerve is like half dead. It's fine. So we have abnormally high pain thresholds. And so when I see another person who is like, oh, no, this is like no big deal, to other people that would be kind of like crippling pain, but they're just kind of like, yeah, you know, it definitely doesn't feel like I'm being licked on by kittens, but it's okay. Should feminine hygiene products be free or subsidized by the government? I think that people, specifically black people, should not have to be required to pay for anything that is made out of fucking cotton.
Black people should not have to pay for anything made out of cotton. Okay, cool. What is it like to be a witness to my fuck shit? Or to any woman's fuck shit, really. But if you need to, please use me as a frame of reference.
It's really hard sometimes because, like, I don't know a whole lot of women that aren't particularly mentally strong, and just strong-willed in general. So sometimes you want to be helpful, but you have to, like, kind of navigate not being the guy that's doing mansplaining, but also kind of oddly match their strong-willedness. So sometimes it's hard to like witness them going through really tough experiences and not being able to like, I don't want to say fix it, but like assist.
What do you mean by match their strong-willedness?
Oh, if I was a pushover, you wouldn't have anything to do with me. Like,
True.
you would, but like it wouldn't be like a serious friendship, it would be kind of like, oh, well, let me like protect this person. Like, I know you do little things that you think I don't notice, but like, and those things are just because I'm absent-minded. It's not because I wouldn't eventually get to it. You know what I mean? I'm just completely not paying attention.
This is a story about a friendship. Not what you consider to be a typical friendship. Not that any friendship would be typical, but this is a story about a friendship between a boy and a girl. And I will never marry him. For Wesley. He's the hand me some of that handsome boy, disturbed by the aging mannishness of his facial hair. I think that it makes him look fatherly, which I'd rather not say aloud because, well, it sounds like begging. And I will never marry him, except in the way that best friends do. In the midst of carrying on over drinks that each has ordered for the other, that each has taken careful attention to notice which liquor loosens the tongue and provides the most acute kind of loving. Cut to the quick.